So honey, at school you've seen me walking around with books that look like this, right? And
this is the book.
And I know that you have wondered what this is all about.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to explain this to you. So this is called, this is the Skeleton Creek series. And my children at school in 6th grade, Ollie, you can't go out right now. My children at school have already read the first 2 books. The first book was just called Skeleton Creek, and it's written by Patrick Carmen. And Patrick has not given me permission to do this yet, so I'm really hoping that he sees this and he gives us all permission.
Patrick, show us some grace for teaching from the couch.
Exactly. So, in the first book, Ryan and his best friend Sarah end up solving this huge mystery in this little bitty town called Skeleton Creek. And they end up they solve, well, the first 2 books actually. They solve this huge mystery, and their town gets rich because of it.
Okay.
Because there was gold hidden in a dredge, and it turns out that Ryan's dad's best friend Henry was the culprit behind the whole thing, and the whole family is just devastated and shocked. So
Okay.
right now we're in the middle of the Crossbones, which is the 3rd book. So I'm going to read a little bit of this today.
How many books are there in the series?
5.
5.
Yeah, and so my children had a goal this year of getting through the whole series because they loved the series so much. And so it's going to be my goal to at least get through a little bit more of this. And so they're at home with copies.
They have copies too?
They have, actually I had to scan the copies because we couldn't get back to the library to get them all
It's really
printed out.
nice of you. I wouldn't have done that for my high schoolers. It's really nice of you.
And so they're reading it at home as we're reading it together. So
Okay.
I'm only going to read a couple pages because the cool part about this book is that videos go along with it. So we read a little bit, and Ryan is the writer in the book, and Sarah is the video photographer, and they're both kind of journalists in this whole regard. And Sarah records videos, and so when we get to a certain point, then we go watch Sarah's video. And usually they're a little scary because they're still solving. The mystery continues.
It looks scary.
It is. I mean, it's kind of
Skeleton Creek, it's meant to be scary.
It's kind of a kid's.
It's not called Sunshine and Roses Creek.
No. Okay. And that's the intriguing part about it. Okay, so right now, this is Ryan's journal. See how it's written kind of like in a journal format? Okay. And you like to write in journals.
I do.
So we can kind of make a self-to-text connection there. That's what that's called. And our dogs are all going to curl up here and listen to Steve Gunner. You want to listen? Okay.
He wants to listen.
Thursday, June 23rd at 8 p.m. After the lunch break, my dad and I hit the river for a few hours to see if things had improved and found that they had. They weren't guiding anyone, but the fish were slamming dry flies on the surface of the water again, so things were looking up. Chances were pretty good this weekend that would produce some serious fishermen heading in from Boise or even Portland.
That's Idaho and Oregon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know, I used to live out there.
Skeleton Creek is in, kids, I can't remember, where do we say Skeleton Creek? I think it's located, maybe Utah.
Well, that's western Idaho and southern Oregon, so it's probably...
Maybe Oregon. It is Oregon. I'm sure Miss Hodges will know the answer to that.
Okay.
Vince tied all the flies he owed me while we were gone, which shouldn't have surprised me, but he did. He showed the results when my dad wasn't looking, and I had a hard time finding the imperfections. Trust me, Ryan, these aren't perfect. I'd lose all respect for myself if I gave these to your dad. So Fitz is a kid that works at the fly shop. His dad took all his money from the gold mining deal, the gold dredge thing, and bought a fishing fly shop because that's big in that area, and they love to fish. Did I mention we caught more fish than you could shake a stick at? That's one of those
figures of speech.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You did, and you're a loser. Me and Fitz have great shot banter. It was really enjoyable. I had 48 flies in my backpack, a friendly doofus for a shop mate, and a successful day of fishing under my belt. I could only hope that Sarah had enjoyed. Okay, technical difficulties. We are back.
And we've switched dogs. Here we go.
Okay. I could only hope that Sarah had enjoyed her day in Little Rock as much as I enjoyed mine in Skeleton Creek. For dinner, I went home and talked to my mom, who was blaring Bon Jovi all the way into the street. He has a very cool mom. No amount of barbecue is worth this torture, and I told her as much while she flipped burgers. No one else in town wants Joe Bon Jovi, I guess, I don't know what he means by that, blaring down the street through the screen door. I had long since stopped calling this guy by his real name, and my mom hated it. Bon Jovi is a legend. One day you'll realize that and thank me for introducing you to some real music.
Bon Jovi's awesome.
Bad chance, Mom. Can I please just get my cheeseburger? And for the sake of teenagers everywhere, please stop dancing on the porch. I watched in horror as my mom raised the spatula like a drumstick and started wailing on the grill. And then I returned to my drawing in my journal.
Hey, real quick. Kids, if your parents still sing and dance, especially while they're cooking, you have cool parents, let them be cool, because hopefully you're cool when you're old too and sing and dance still.
I'd only encouraged her bad behavior. Best to stay quiet until my dad came home and made her shut down the concert. I'd been drawing a map of where Sarah had been, where she was going, and what she was finding. She was making...
Oh, sorry, I get sleepy when it's not boring, it's a long day.
She was making some serious progress, no doubt, but the longest road was ahead of her and it worried me. A day of chilling in Little Rock, Arkansas might have killed this whole excursion, and she might be...
Remember when we stopped in Little Rock?
Mm-hmm.
You've been there.
How do you say this word?
Ominously.
That's one of our vocabulary words.
And she'd been ominously quiet.
Mm-hmm. I was giving her some space, not bugging her, letting her off the grid for a few hours. This is the map I drew. Okay, so he draws maps. He draws maps
cool.
of where Sarah has been, because he has to be stuck at home in Skeleton Creek and he can't venture out, but she gets to. So
he's quarantined like we are.
Exactly. I sat on the porch eating my burger, waving flies off my Doritos. All I could think of was Sarah. Will she move toward me or away from me? Or away from me come morning.
This kid and I get along fine. Doritos go well with a burger.
Friday, June 24th. He likes Coke too. Friday, June 24th, 8:04 a.m. Maybe I shouldn't be so excited, but I am. Sarah's on the road again, and she's headed straight for Austin, Texas. She got an early start and should arrive at the Driscoll Hotel by 5 in the evening. So that's a really scary place. And we have little QR codes on their packet that they can scan and watch videos about
cool.
these things.
I would do that.
After that, she'll need to keep going until she reaches San Antonio, where another one of Mrs. Fincher's siblings lives. Mrs. Fincher comes from a big family. Mrs. Fincher comes from a big family. 3 sisters, 2 brothers. They scattered like buckshot out of Skeleton Creek years ago, which so far has been really convenient for Sarah.
Do all of you know what buckshot is? Buckshot comes out of a shotgun shell. Little BBs, they go all over the place. That's what it means by scattered buckshot.
You want to read now?
Sure. This is really working. We're doing it. Or more accurately, Sarah is doing it. I'm like a far removed co-pilot, and it's killing me more every day. What I want more than anything in the world is to be out there with her, or even out there going in a different direction. Anything that will get me out of this town and into something exciting. I'm starting to sound more like Sarah every day, and that's fine by me. The people, the music, the long boring days in the fly shop, I guess it's all starting to drive me mad with road trip envy, which I get because I'm stuck in the house too. We've done a research on Driscoll, and Sarah warned me that getting a documentary about it was kind of unlikely since she's going to be getting into San Antonio late and right back on the road Saturday morning for the long haul to Phoenix. And that is a long haul, by the way, kids. After that, it was another long drive to San Jose, which is another long drive, for the final location, the Winchester House. And then she got to make it back to LA for the start of film school on Monday at 10 a.m. An all-nighter would be required somewhere in there, or she'd never make it. I'll let you go there. Okay. It's a lot of driving. You see, it's a lot farther than from like here to Lexington. You're talking from like here to like New York. Like you're talking long trips out west.
She's going cross country.
Yeah, those are big trips.
My dad surprised me with what I'm sure he thought was stunningly good news, but it was more of a mixed bag than he realized. Someone went back to Boise and spilled the beans about the day that we had last week. You know, Lunker Day, my dad began. He was eating steel-cut oats, a new habit to offset the greasy summer barbecue fare we'd been enjoying. Group of 4 emailed this morning. They bet on the multi-day. When? I asked. Tuesday and Wednesday. The fish better be biting. My dad had put together this insane 2-day fishing package with streamside camping along a 17-mile stretch of river. Under normal circumstances, I'd send Don and have him pick Fitz to man the second boat and serve the fried chicken. But this time, I couldn't think of anything I wanted less. Your mom will be in Seattle at that concert, so I can hardly leave you at home. You got the gig. We'll leave Fitz the shop, and he'll tie a million flies while we're gone. So Fitz can tie the flies really fast and really good, and poor little old Ryan is not very good at that. My heart sank. Not only was I going to have to take back my invitation to Fitz and give back all the imperfect flies he'd tied for me, I was going to be on the river at a critical time. What if Sarah needed me and I was totally out of range for 2 days? She was scheduled to be at film camp by then. But still, knowing Sarah, if there was a 5th location, she'd call in sick for a day or 2, and off she'd go. I knew my dad better than to question his decision. If I offered up Fritz, he'd dig in his heels and he'd use his stern voice. Oh, you're going. Don't you even try to get out of it. I think you said that to the kids today.
I think I say that all the time.
Then he dropped another bombshell. Talked to Sarah's dad last night. How come you didn't mention Sarah was driving across all America all by herself? So the parents
Didn't all know.
Parents agreed a long time ago that these two should be separated because all they do is get into trouble together.
I got you.
But they solved a great mystery and got lots of gold for this town. When
Sounds
they
like
did.
a good book with a lot of suspense.
I had to think on my feet because for some unknown stupid reason I had never prepared for this particular moment. That's just the kind of thing she does, Dad. I talk to her when she gets bored, but it's her deal. Speaking of which, I do have a license, you know. How come I never get to drive across the country? Put some humor in there. That's the ticket. My mom actually laughed out loud at that one, like I'd lost my mind. My dad reeled off the reasons why I wasn't driving anywhere far away soon and how I could appreciate the driving I get to do. She's a year older than you. Her parents are idiots. She's got family strewn all over the dang country. Be happy you get to drive the truck to the river. That was good. I had effectively diverted their attention away from my overambitious driving friend onto their concerns about me driving at all. Mission accomplished for the moment. My dad gave me the suspicious look again, but he also had trout bomb written all over his face. There was a lot to plan with an overnighter, and his wheels were turning. Not enough room in that head of his for too many big things, and for that moment, his burgeoning business was taking precedence over worrying about some crazy teenager driving in our general direction. Okay, so we're going to...
I would stop there.
You want to stop there? Okay. Okay, so we're going to stop here. You have a few more pages to go until you get to the Hall of Mirrors video. SarahFincher.com, password Hall of Mirrors. We're going to go make dinner.
I'm making steaks tonight because it seems like a good idea.
And you are still to read past Hall of Mirrors all the way to page 143. Miss Clark's not going to finish that this time. You're going to do that on your own because you have the pages. So
you know what stood out to me?
What?
Like, we can't go anywhere. You can't leave town right now. You can't be out much. But this book allows you to go other places, which is what's really cool about reading is I'm in my house, but my mind, I was in the Driscoll house. Like I felt like I was on a road trip with Sarah. I was in the passenger seat. I was picturing the car, the windows down, Bon Jovi on the radio. It's fun. It's pretty cool.
Okay. Bye, guys.